Coming to you from the Bourbon and Business Studio here in the Capitol Club in downtown Jackson, Mississippi. And this is Bourbon and Business Backstage. How you guys doing?
I'm good, Tyler. How are you?
I'm good, Tyler.
I'm doing phenomenal. You're echoing Dakota there, Adam.
Well, try to imitate greatness over here. Do what I can.
I mean,
do what I can.
If it ain't broke,
Well, how are you doing, Ron?
I'm great, Tyler. I'm kind of a big deal.
You are. Very big deal. So,
He thinks so since the stash has come in.
It's been received very well.
yeah. Do you comb it, Dave?
I do.
You have to by now.
Yep. I have a softener for it.
Well, I know all our listeners will be excited. We will do a special episode. You'll have to pay for this one, but you'll get to learn about Dakota's stash routine. So be on the lookout.
There's a whole routine. You got to upkeep it, man. You got to upkeep it. We're not all blessed with you, with what you got going on over there.
Honestly, y'all are blessed with me.
Every week we get this.
Well, Adam, you want to walk our listeners through what Bourbon and Business Backstage is?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know. We every week we're going to do Bourbon and Business Backstage, where we're doing a recap of our episodes. Like this week, we're going to recap our Memphis trip. We just interviewed 5 guests, and so 5 new episodes are all dropping. And so we interviewed everybody from the CEO of Memphis in May to other business leaders, thought leaders, and so lots to talk about and recap on our first episode of Bourbon and Business Backstage.
I said a lot of really good, powerful stuff too.
Yeah.
Funny, it didn't record. I don't remember hearing it.
Oh, it was off camera.
Oh, okay.
I ate some good barbecue.
They do have the best barbecue.
I never got any. I had to dip right after.
You missed out.
I know.
You missed out. Well, let's talk about that. So let's go straight to barbecue. So we interviewed Mac Weaver, the CEO of Memphis in May.
Great guy.
That was a great episode.
Yeah, it was.
We really learned a lot, and his story was really interesting, starting with the Peabody Hotel and then working his way to Memphis in May. I'll start with you, Dakota. What was your biggest takeaway out of that episode?
Man, I just took away just be authentic.
Yeah.
I think Mac is a really authentic guy. He was always true to himself. Even with any decision that he made, he would just, talk with his wife, pray through it. He was just himself no matter what, and it has significantly worked in his favor. If you meet him, you know he's authentic.
Yeah, very true. Very true. What about you, Tyler?
One of my biggest takeaways was just like what Memphis in May means to the area.
Yeah.
It's such a iconic thing. You get to go out and just experience Memphis in a big way that you wouldn't normally get to. So I think that just also the local things that we have here, not taking those for granted. That the hard work that goes into putting these events on for the public to make it a nice place to live really spoke to me, just his commitment to that and the people of Memphis being able to put that together on a yearly basis.
And we learned a lot, too. It's not just the World Championship barbecue contest and their partnership with other countries. I think this year it's South Korea.
Yeah.
But they have a marathon. Didn't know that. But they have
a junior barbecue competition.
And a junior, that's right. So they've got the marathon, the Great American River Run, and they also have junior barbecue. And so if you're in the Memphis area and looking for some things to do coming up in the month of May, definitely check out Memphis in May. We interviewed other guests while we were up there.
Will you tell them when Memphis in May is? What month is it?
Month of May, just in case you didn't know.
Oh,
Thank you, Tyler, for pointing that out. It is in the month of May. Multiple events.
That was
impressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very well done.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry to.
No, you go for it.
This is backstage.
This is backstage. There's no script, and this is what happens.
This is how we act backstage.
It's actually worse when the cameras are off.
Yeah.
So
100% true.
Yes, 100%. We also interviewed Casey Shockey, CEO of Chief Engineering. Learned a lot about engineering skills you need if you are currently in college looking to become an engineer, what those next steps look like. We learned a lot about big projects and project management and how they work, and just how chief engineering in particular goes to market. And same question, just takeaways, Dakota, from that episode.
That guy was sharp, man.
Yeah, he was.
He was sharp.
Yeah.
Casey's on his game. He knows his stuff. I think the big thing that I want to say preached in that episode was just preparation. He is all about getting things done right on the front end so that the back end is not easy, but easier on yourself. and more accurate. So when he used an example, he's like, I mean, sometimes, we're not playing with these things, but, we're messing around with $1 million equipment. He's like, we can't just try it and see if it works, It's kind of like building a rocket ship. Like, it might blow up, but you better be daggum sure that it's going to be right the first time, as right as you can possibly be. So that's what I took from that, was just, man, do it right the first time on the front end of things.
Tyler, what about you?
My biggest takeaway from the episode is, a lot of times when you have someone that is very technical, an engineer, the podcast is going to be a little bit of a drag, but that's not the effect you get with Casey. Casey is a very brilliant businessman. Listening to the things that he has in place there to make his business successful, I'd say if you're looking for an episode to kind of learn about business and how to be successful in business, his episode was really good for that. So that was my biggest takeaway from it.
Absolutely. We also interviewed Preston Gordon. He's the CEO of U.S. Industrial Machinery, and learned a lot about his business. And we learned a lot. We learned about international trade. We learned about tariffs. We learned about the machinery and what they do. And so a lot there on that episode, wasn't it, Dakota?
Yeah. I mean, that episode, he was a cool dude too.
Yeah.
Everybody we interviewed was fantastic. Preston has like this deep voice, and he was just like, I met him and I was like, oh dude, this is going to be a cool podcast, even if it's just like your voice talking. I feel like he had like a smooth jazz radio kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like, this is Preston. But no, he was great because he went into an industry that he knew absolutely nothing about and got thrust into a leadership role and had to learn quick, just on the fly. And I think that's so, it transfers well into any kind of business or industry. Like, you never know when you're going to get your shot or your opportunity, so you better be ready when it comes, because when or if it comes, you might only get one shot. Yeah. And he was ready, and he is thriving in it now.
Yep, absolutely. And Tyler, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest takeaway was just Preston's drive to be successful. He worked in several industries, sounded like he was successful in all of them, but he just hadn't found the place that he fit right. And I think a lot of people, especially our listeners, fit into that category. There's somewhere that they hate, that maybe they don't like it too much, or they have bigger dreams for themselves than where they're at. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that Preston shined a good light on, hey, that there are opportunities out there that you can find if you're willing to work hard. Yeah. And that was my biggest takeaway from
it was a great episode. If you haven't listened to it, if you're in the process of making a career change, that is a great episode to go back and listen to, because he had some great advice about making those pivots in your career. We also interviewed Michael Murphy, founder of Murphy Custom Homes. We learned a lot about custom homes, designing, building custom homes, really high-end homes. Learned a lot there too, didn't we, Dakota?
Yeah. Michael preached this culture of not perfectionism, but doing things the right way. And it allows him the freedom in his mind. It clears that space to know that his employees, the people who work with him, are always going to do the right thing for the customer. Mm-hmm. And so he said, even on the podcast, he was like, I'm never worried about my customers or my employees saying the wrong thing to a client or a customer, because I know they're not going to say it. Like, somebody will come to him and be like, well, they said this. And he's like, no, they didn't. I know they didn't, because we don't do that. And he can go to his employee and be like, no, here's the documented conversation that we actually had. So that's a thing that if you can get that kind of culture where you work or with the company that you're with, it is so freeing to be able to sleep at night with that, knowing that you're doing right by everybody.
Yeah, so true.
So true. Yeah, I think that his really commitment to excellence shone through in that episode. And I think if you're in any type of business at all, if you're not doing it excellent, then eventually your competitor is going to beat you. Yep. So that was my biggest takeaway from it.
Yep, absolutely. And our last episode that we recorded was with Michael Graber. He is the managing partner of Epic Pivot.
What a guy.
Yes, that was an episode.
They didn't put him on a Dos Equis commercial.
They might should. Yeah, they probably should.
Yeah. Dakota, what did you think?
That guy was a character, man. He was, there's the old saying, jack of all trades, master of none. Well, Michael was a master of all trades.
So true.
plays like 50 instruments. He's in like 6 bands or something.
Yeah.
He's got his own business where he helps like huge companies like Dr. Scholl's footwear. Like that was his example that he used. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so casual.
Yeah.
Like, well, Dr. Scholl's had a problem. And so we helped solve it with the foot measurement thing. And I was like, that was you?
Yeah.
I was like, I love that thing
Yeah.
when I was, growing up, when I was younger. So it's wild to think that those kinds of things happen in places like Memphis, Tennessee. You'd think that guy lives in New York or something, or, somewhere else in a different country or some big city like LA. But it's like, no, that guy, he's just got this company, that you might not have ever heard of called Pivot in Memphis, Tennessee. And they do great work, man. But yeah, he is an outside of the box thinker. And I just love the way his brain worked on that episode.
Yeah.
It taught me that, it doesn't matter who you are, what your personality is, you can still be a great leader and great in business. Don't let anybody tell you that just because you're a creative, you won't be great in business, or just because you're not a creative, you won't be great, because all kinds of people can be great.
Absolutely. And Tyler, what did you think?
Yeah, my biggest takeaway was just his personality kind of marches to the beat of his own drum. And I really like that. He lives life on his own terms. He's not looking over his shoulder to see what you or I were thinking during the episode. He's authentically him. And I think that that's such a freeing thing, that there's so many people now that are so worried about their image or what other people think, and not a bad thing, but it can be overly oppressive to people, and it can really shut down the creativity and then the productivity of business. Whereas you could just go out and just say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, and I'm good at it. And I think that that's a very missing piece of society that we have now.
No
so it was refreshing to see.
Yeah. Well, 5 great episodes, all from Memphis, and we really had a great time on that trip. I said all 5 episodes, like all of our other episodes, are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, iHeart, and of course, if you're not following us on social media, please do so. You can follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and thank you for tuning in for our first episode of Bourbon and Business Backstage. I'm Adam. That's Dakota. That's Tyler. And we will see you guys next week.
See you next week.